Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Just 10 subscribers away from 7K now. Let's get there as quickly as possible. And yesterday, it was an absolute disaster up north in Newcastle. Made the long trip up, long trip back, getting back in the early hours of the morning. And yeah, it doesn't feel any better this morning. It was a disaster. But yeah, in this video, I'm going to be breaking it down. 5 things that we learned from Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Yep, 4-1. 4 goals conceded in each of the last 2 games, 9 in the last 3. Things are not going particularly well right now for the club. And the first point I want to make is just that this, as Pochettino said afterwards, this Chelsea team is just soft and has a complete lack of discipline. Yesterday was not only a poor performance, zero discipline, nothing went right in the second half, and we compounded that by making stupid mistakes. Thiago Silva, poor. Reece James, poor. Giving away set pieces all the time in dangerous areas, picking up stupid bookings. Like the list goes on and on and on. The gaffer can read the right act to the players. We don't need to dwell on this too much, but Brighton is a massive fixture. We all know that. And look, today we pay the price for a lack of leaders. But look, no, as I was saying, no discipline, stupid mistakes, playing right into Newcastle's hands. We know they've got big guys in the box, Lascelles, Cher, Joe Linton as well. If you keep giving away set pieces in dangerous areas, you're going to get punished with Trippier's delivery as well. And that's what happened. Stupid mistakes playing into Newcastle's hands. And they've just said, thanks very much. I've lost track now over the last 3, 4, maybe even 5 years of the number of games that we have managed to just completely throw away when being in a decent position and being in the game by just absolutely shooting ourselves in the foot. And you know what? We are exactly where we deserve to be. This is not on the manager or it's not on a single player. It's a collective culture of sloppiness that has crept into the club, arrogance, and it's been around for far too long. And to be honest, I feel the fans should probably be reimbursed after today. Newcastle had 5 shots on target, 4 goals scored. I mean, that's the sort of efficiency that only we could dream of at Chelsea right now. Only we could dream of that. The red card, which I'll get onto later, sums up today perfectly. Self-destruction, pathetic. That's what it was. Simple as that. There's just no leaders in this team, or not enough leaders. There's no discipline. And when you've got, when that's in a team, no leaders and no discipline, those are the 2 of the key things that you need to be a successful side. And we are missing both of them big time. You've got Reece James getting sent off ban for a game. You've got Cucurella picking up 5 yellow cards in 7 games. Jackson picking up a lot of bookings this season as well. Players getting sent off, players losing their heads. Yes, this is a young side, but it's not an excuse for losing your head as a player. It really, really isn't. There are concerns, obviously, going forward 100%, but we just didn't have the discipline today. The discipline was just not there. We were soft. Where were we in those 50-50 tackles? We were absolutely nowhere. And so until we get to a situation where, we either buy some more leaders, which is a possibility, or we have to wait for these guys that we've got now to develop into leaders, then it's gonna be a problem. And the manager's got to look at this. The players have got to look at themselves. No discipline and being soft as a team is an awful combination. As I was going through earlier, as I just said, Cucurella 5 yellow cards in 7. He's now banned for the Brighton game. Jackson's picked up 7 yellows in 12 games. He's now 3 away from a 2-match ban. Sterling is 1 yellow card away from a 1-match ban. It is what it is, people. But it is a massive problem, and it's probably the worst combination of things to have: soft and no discipline. And I don't know how we stamp it out. Obviously the manager's going to have to try and do something about it. The players have got to do something about it, get themselves together. Even the leaders we looked to on the pitch today, Thiago Silva had a horror show. Needless mistake, ridiculous error to give Joe Linton the goal. And to go from 2-1 to 3-1 down in a space of 90 seconds is game over. Simple as that. Everyone making mistakes today. Reece James making mistake as well. Lack of discipline, really poor, letting the side down. There's too much of this and it has to change, but I don't know how long it's going to take to change, and I don't know when ultimately it is going to change. But that is a real big problem that we've got. The second point that I wanted to make was more on Reece James himself. As a captain, he's apologised. Fair enough. I thought he had a poor game in general. Gordon caused him a lot of problems. But when you're the captain of Chelsea Football Club, and you're the one that needs to try and rally the troops, and you're kind of leading the boys out there. I'm not saying it's all his responsibility, but you cannot do things like that. I understand all players lose their heads and have moments of madness and make rash decisions and poor choices, but you can't be especially when you're the captain. You can't be doing things like that. You've obviously given the ball away with a poor touch, and then you just haul Gordon down. I think it was. It's a second booking, and you're off, and you've left your teammates in the lurch and bang up against it. People have got to start making better decisions. I tweeted it after the game, and people were giving me a little bit of stick for it, and I'm just like, well, hang on a second, like it. I think it's perfectly justifiable to dish out a bit of stick for what's happened there. He was poor today. Lack of discipline, as I said, let the team down. And as captain, you can't do it. You have to lead by example as a captain. I know Reece is still relatively young himself, but he's an experienced player in my view. And you can't be doing that. Better days to come, and obviously he'll make up for it. He now misses the Brighton game as well, and we'll be back for the Man United game at Old Trafford. But as a captain, you have to do so much better. And I think that pretty much sums up the position the club are in right now in terms of that lack of discipline. When you've got the captain doing things that the captain needs to lead by example. And I'm sorry, but Reece is not led by example in that moment. So he's got to reflect on it. He's got to come back better from it. And he's got to, show the team that that's not the way to behave, and that's not the right way to be going about things. The third thing I wanted to mention was the fact that, I've said it myself a lot of times as well, is that we're defensively pretty good. We've now shipped 9 goals in the last 3 games. That's not good. And I'm not sure where things are going wrong defensively. Yes, we're making a lot of errors at the back. Yes, we're giving up really cheap goals. Obviously you could look at the City goals, penalty that wasn't, no marking in the box for a free header for a Kanji, a deflection which you could do nothing about for Rodri. The Haaland second goal, you could say maybe poor defending. These goals today, Cucurella and Badiashile just playing Isaac on side for the first one. There's a free header for Lascelles for the second one. Where's the marking? Where's the leadership? Who's telling people to pick players up? It just isn't going on. The third one, Thiago Silva has an absolute horror show, and the fourth one, Badiashile just stands off Anthony Gordon, and it's an easy one into the bottom corner. Seriously, what is going wrong with our defending at the moment? And I know, like yesterday, for example, Badiashile back in the team. Look, we've all been calling for him to play, and we think he's going to be a big part of the future. But having played 60 minutes against Blackburn, this was a really odd game, in my opinion, to chuck him back in. I've got no issue of not putting Colwell back in, but why not continue with Disasi and Thiago Silva? And and people might say, oh, it's easy to say after the event, because if we'd won that game or put in a decent performance, got a point or whatever, maybe you're not saying it. But you look at it and you think there's a game at home against Brighton, which would have surely been much, much better to put Badiashile in for. He looked a little bit off it. Wasn't quite there, and it's to be expected. He's played 60 minutes of football in 5 months before yesterday's game. I just thought that was a slightly odd decision, a bit harsh on Disasi. Maybe Disasi was carrying a little knock that we potentially don't know about, but I thought that was a slightly odd decision. You don't want to be messing around with your centre backs, changing the pairing too often, because you look at it and you think, Brian, is it going to be the same pairing, or is Disasi going to come back in, or does Colwell come back in? You want consistency in that centre-back pairing. We've got very good defenders, and I'm not really quite sure what the thinking was behind Pochettino putting Badiashile into the lineup yesterday. I just feel that maybe slightly backfired and was the wrong game to stick him in for. I'm not saying that we wouldn't have considered those goals with Disasi there, but I think you want continuity at the back. You want to build partnerships. It's important, and it's not an area of the pitch that you mess about switching the partnership up each week, and that kind of appears to be what's sort of going on at the moment in this point of time. It's a real strange one, but I personally think that was the wrong decision to do, and I'm not really sure why he went down that route of doing it. So yeah, that's my next point. It's like that team selection, defense in general is a problem. It really is. We're starting to leak a lot of goals now, and these are all goals that are mostly coming from our own mistakes and sloppiness. And again, it feeds into that culture at the club right now. Sloppiness, soft, lack of leadership, people not taking responsibility. Obviously, Thiago Silva took responsibility yesterday for his mistake. Fair enough. That's part of being a leader, taking responsibility. But in general, there's not enough people taking responsibility for their actions on the pitch. And that's showing with the goals that we're conceding and how open we're looking defensively, and as a team tomorrow, as a team in general, we're far too easy to get through. We're far too easy to score against. And it just underpins what I was saying earlier. The things that are wrong right now are an awful combination to have as a football team. They really are. I mean, that's three of my points. My fourth point right now is that however you want to dress it up, it's when things aren't looking good in terms of our form. As I mentioned, I think it's 5 wins in 25 Premier League games. I think I was saying that we've only won 9 Premier League games in Todd Bowley's ownership. That's a madness. That is absolutely mad. And the only team we've beaten in the league at home this season is Luton. That's a real concern. It really is. And I don't know if there's a soft underbelly in the team or what it is, but something really needs to change drastically. Yes, obviously, Nkunku will come back and whatnot, and that should hopefully make a big difference. But 13 games into the season, I've just found it now, and we've only scored the first goal in 3 games so far. And in 2 of those games, Luton and Fulham didn't even score. And obviously, we fucked it up against Arsenal and drew 2-2. So statistically, over 65% of teams so far this season win if they score first against us. And that rises to 75% if the team is at home. That is not good stats to have against you. And as a team, we simply have to be starting games better. It really is as simple as that. We must be starting games better. We're too slow when we're starting games. We saw it again yesterday. We're 1-0 down inside the first 15 minutes again. That's not good enough. You can't keep starting games slowly and expect to come back every time and pick up positive results. It's just not how it works. It really isn't. So that's something that's got to change. We've got to be sharper from the off. We've got to be in the game from minute 1, because right now we simply aren't doing those things. We're not in the game from minute 1. And yeah, it's I just don't know what we do about it and how we solve it. But yeah, we have to start games better. We have to start winning more games. I don't care how we do it. We simply must start winning more games, because we've got more losses than wins this season. You can make whatever excuses you want, and that is unacceptable for Chelsea. Even though we know things are difficult right now. That is unacceptable to have more losses than wins. It really is. I just don't see how that's happening. I don't know. It's a strange one, isn't it? It's a strange one. Look, we're an immature team. We need maturity, and yes, that will come over time, as I've said. But the question is, can we accept that? Be patient while still getting dicked by teams that we should be beating. And my answer to that question is absolutely not. So yeah, something needs to change, because I still believe in that. I still believe in the manager. Changing the manager doesn't sort the scenario out. You can't just keep going round in circles until you sort of think you've worked it out and stumble across the right answer. So yeah, we just got to be patient and stick with it. But I think a lot of people will start losing patience if the results keep being as poor as they are. And my last point is that I think we can forget Champions League qualification. If I'm being brutally honest, look, part of me still believes, and I've said it, and I will continue to back it, because I'm not just going to change my opinions. But I think the reality of the situation has changed. It's been like Chelsea's owners want Champions League qualification this season, and people like myself have said, it's a developing team and a project and whatnot. But the reality of the situation is different. We need that Champions League revenue. We spent a lot of money. We do need it. But I'll be honest, I think owners delusional if they thought we should be getting Champions League qualification at the beginning of this season, when the squad planning we've done doesn't prove that we should be qualifying for the Champions League. The only thing we're basing us qualifying for the Champions League on this season is money spent. So to me, it's really baffling to have that as a minimum demand while we're neglecting stability and we're going into the season without a proven goal scorer. And, you know, it's delusion, fan pressure. It's kind of what the club seems to be run on right now. And I'm really not a fan of it. If you wanted Champions League qualification as an ownership, you spend the money solely on the first team, and then you start building mini projects around it with these younger players. To be honest, Europa League is a far more realistic goal when you see the bracket of signings that we're making. I don't think this team right now is good enough to qualify for the Champions League. That's why the reality of these situations have to be different. So, like, we have to change our expectations. And the reality is this team's not good enough to qualify for the Champions League. It really isn't. It's as simple as that. The expectations have to change. And as I said, if the ownership wanted Champions League qualification, you should have spent heavily on the first team to make that more of a reality. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, those are just 5 things we learned from Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I'll catch you again in another one soon. Up the Chelsea and peace out, guys.